Do you know everything you need to know for Ohio's open enrollment in 2016? Well, hey, stick around. That's what we're doing today. How's it going, everybody? I'm Joey Jingola with Jingola Insurance, and today we're going to answer basically every question that you could possibly have regarding how to sign up for health insurance during open enrollment this year. Sound good? All right, well, let's actually get started. During these first two enrollment periods, I've helped hundreds of people sign up and navigate this process. If this is your first time not only dealing with open enrollment, but also getting your own health insurance, don't worry because it's definitely not mine. First, and the easiest one to answer is, when is open enrollment for 2016? You're going to be able to start signing up for coverage and actually buying it November 1st, 2015. You're going to be able to do that up until January 31st, 2016. So how do you enroll or sign up then? Well, you're going to do it one of two ways. The first and the least frustrating way is to sign up directly with the health insurance company of your choice. The only problem with this method is your wallet will be a little lighter and you won't have access to any money the government might be able to provide you if you qualify for a subsidy through Obamacare. On the other hand, you won't have to deal with any extra red tape, and managing your health insurance policy will be a lot easier. Or the other option is you can sign up through healthcare.gov, the marketplace that the federal government has created for you. This process is a little more involved and it will at some point in time have you questioning the meaning of your life. I promise. Next question, do you have to enroll through healthcare.gov? No, you don't. No. This is the absolute biggest misconception of the entire healthcare reform, Obamacare, we need to change health insurance, period. I cannot stand that this is so misconstrued that people think that you have to buy your health insurance through healthcare.gov. In fact, the only time I would allow, recommend that you go to healthcare.gov is if your income was in a range that qualified you for the federal government to provide you money to help pay for your health insurance. That's all healthcare.gov is really designed for. That's the only place you can get that money provided through the government, because otherwise it's just going to handcuff you even more to manage your health insurance throughout the course of the year. Well, now you might want to know who can actually help you enroll. And there's an actual decent list of people that you can turn to for assistance. First, and my preferred method, is the independent insurance agent. That's me right here. You're looking at one right now. Or you can go to a navigator, or there are healthcare.gov representatives, which are kind of navigators in a way, I guess. And then you have your fourth and final option, which is a captive agent. Let's go ahead and break this list down a little bit more in detail. So somebody like me, an independent health insurance agent, the reason we're called independent is we don't work for one specific health insurance company. Instead, we get appointed with whatever companies we feel are going to be a good fit for you. Again, in my case, I'm appointed with every company that I can be appointed with in Ohio, even though a lot of those companies are not going to be a good fit for you and are not going to make sense. I still want to have the information straight from the horse's mouth to kind of validate that decision for you. When it comes to health insurance, there's a lot of agents who are only appointed with one company, or two maybe. This is usually a product of that agent not having a heavy focus on health insurance, or possibly not wanting to take the time to learn more than one or two companies. Because they don't deal with it that often, they don't want to have to keep up with all of the different plans that all of the different companies offer, so they only have one or two options that they know very well. It's not a terrible thing, but it's going to limit your overall access and knowledge, and just because an agent didn't take the time to get appointed with a company, you might be missing out. But the best part about agents is they can help explain the details of these plans and help make recommendations based on the information that you provide. That's not going to be the case for a lot of the people on this list, as you will see. And next up is a navigator. Just for fun, here's how healthcare.gov defines a navigator. An individual or organization that's trained and able to help consumers, small businesses, and their employees as they look for health coverage options through the marketplace. Including completing eligibility and enrollment forms, these individuals and organizations are required to be unbiased. Their services are free to consumers. The most important thing to know, though, is that they are not licensed agents, which means they cannot explain plans in detail to you or make recommendations based on any information that you give them. Essentially, they're a glorified executive assistant for your health insurance application. That's it. And they can only help you complete that process after you've made a decision. So piggybacking off the navigator is a healthcare.gov representative. Now this is basically the person that you're going to talk to if you call the 800 number listed on healthcare.gov. And they're basically a 24/7 version of a navigator. Again, they're not licensed, they cannot explain details of the plans and also not make any recommendations, and basically serve the same function as a navigator. And finally, the last option is a captive agent. A captive agent is somebody who only works for one specific health insurance company. So if it's Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Medical Mutual of Ohio, Aetna, they're only going to be able to sell you that plan from that company. So that will be definitely a biased opinion, as they will only tell you about how great their plans are, and that, basically they renounce any other health insurance or don't even believe that they exist. But again, like independent agents, they are licensed and they can explain the details of the plans in great detail, even greater in some cases than that independent agent, because that's the only plan that they deal with. They can also make recommendations based on the information you provide them as well. And you might want to know, how much does it cost to work with somebody on this list? And the first thing we got to get out of the way is it's going to cost you the exact same to work with anybody on this list. That's free. And by free, I mean the cost of health insurance is fixed by law, meaning you cannot find the same policy for a different price anywhere, period. Except there is one little itty bitty tiny exception to that, which I have explained in a previous video and blog post, which I'll link up right here for you to check out if you are interested. Now, just because it's free on the surface doesn't mean that it is, free for everybody. So let's explain a little bit more in detail how this actually breaks down, how these people are paid. So now first, the independent health insurance agent like myself. Again, I've talked about this in greater detail in a previous video and article, which you can check out again right up here if you'd like to. Feel free to read through that. But again, just breaking it down quickly for you, we are paid commissions directly from the health insurance company. Now, don't worry, because that commission is built into the price of the policy regardless of if you use my services or not. So technically, if you buy a policy on your own, you're kind of cheating yourself out of extra service that you didn't get. Now, that exact dollar amount, I'll tell you exactly what it is. Now, for Ohio and for the health insurance companies that are in Ohio, typically what I would be paid on one policy is about $19 to $20 per person each month that they have the policy. So if you want to take that $20 and multiply it by 12, I would make about $240 a year for a single person if they kept that policy all year long. Next comes the navigator, and this is actually a little bit trickier to answer than I ever would have imagined. But based on all my research and all my findings, I could only come across articles that were dated as far back as 2013, which was before Obamacare even actually went into full effect. But basically, the Navigator program is funded with about 54 to 58, it really depends on what source you're checking. Let's call it around 50 to 60 million dollars, I believe, every year to help pay navigators. Another article also speculated that navigators, depending upon what level they were in the organization that they were serving, could be making anywhere from $20 to $48 an hour. Now again, it's very important to note that this money is not being paid from health insurance companies. So this is in addition to any commissions. Those commissions are still getting paid, obviously not to the navigator, more than likely to a captive agent, which we'll get to in a second. So this money is in excess of that commission. And again, it is federal money. So you're kind of paying twice if you look at it that way. The healthcare.gov representative, well, they're paid, I honestly don't know, because there's really no information out there for me to know. Every time I call and ask, they really don't want to tell me. But basically, they're a call center person. I don't know if they get paid per person. I don't know if they're making an hourly wage. I don't know. But you can imagine that they're at least getting paid like a normal call center person would. You don't have to pay anything for that, though. It is free. And finally, that captive agent is going to be paid commissions directly from their company. And that's going to be, for policies that they sell directly themselves, that they field from incoming phone calls or whatever. So when will your policy actually start if you buy during open enrollment? Well, this is a little tricky, but try and stay with me here. So if you buy from November 1st until December 15th, your policy will take effect at the first of the year, basically as soon as it possibly can. If you buy after December 15th of 2015, let's say December 16th until January 15th of 2016, then your policy is going to start the 1st of February. So again, if you were to go from January 16th until the end of enrollment, which is January 31st, your policy would start on March 1st. So you're just going to want to make sure that you give yourself plenty of time to actually sign up for these plans and get it started when you want. What happens if you miss open enrollment? Well, if you're just being lazy and you didn't get around to it, well, you're going to be kind of out of luck for 2016, as there really isn't any way outside of getting a job that has health insurance that's going to allow you to buy health insurance outside of that window. Now, let's say you do have health insurance right now and you're going to be losing it at some point during 2016. If you're losing that coverage outside of you just saying, I don't want it anymore, if it is a involuntary loss of coverage, then, you're going to actually have what's called a special enrollment. So don't worry about it. You can handle that at that time. You don't have to worry about trying to get in to open enrollment. If you're losing that coverage because you're changing jobs or whatever, that's going to be a special enrollment to allow you to buy your own coverage when you need to. And the last question, how much is that tax penalty for not having health insurance? Well, if you don't have health insurance in 2016, you're going to be taxed 2.5% of your total household annual income. Again, that's only going to be for the months that you are without health insurance. So if you only have health insurance for half the year, you're not going to be taxed for the whole year. You're just going to go based on the months that you didn't have it. But you're going to want to do some math on your own and figure out, what's 2.5 of your total household income and, what you're going to actually end up having to pay for nothing. So what's the bottom line in all this? Well, open enrollment is a pretty important time of year. And if you need to handle your health insurance during that time, well, you might want to do that because it's important. So you don't want to miss this window. You're going to want to give yourself as much time to make this decision as easy as possible. If not, well, you're going to miss your chance. You're going to have 300 and some odd days to wait until you can do it again. So if you want to take the next step and actually learn a little bit more about these plans and actually learn how to pick the right plan that's going to work for you, well, go ahead, click right here on my face to make that happen, or there will be a link if you don't want to click on my face for some reason in the video's description, and that will take you to the next step where we can start figuring out which plan you might want to pay attention to. So, but of course, I do always appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and as always, I am Joey Giangola with Giangola Insurance. Take it easy, everybody.